We want to start off with a reminder that we are not doctors. Before you make any changes or try something new, always consult with your doctor and medical team first. Chronic illness can vary from patient to patient, so it's always best to consult with your own doctor for what is best for you.
Hello, welcome to IBD Determined. I'm your host, Mason Harvey.
And I'm your host, Michelle Harvey. I'm Mason's mom and discussing the role of a caregiver.
And I have Crohn's disease.
Today's topic is on what it's like to be immunocompromised. Yeah, which this is an important topic because it doesn't only apply to Crohn's disease, and sometimes it doesn't really, in fact, as we'll get more into.
Yeah.
And sometimes it really does. So it's important because anybody can have a suppressed immune system at times, depending on what medications they're taking. And, with chronic illness, sometimes it's more long-term. And in Mason's case, it is forever. So at least for right now.
Yeah, for right now, at least.
Which is why we speak out and continue to raise awareness.
Is there going to be a cure?
Yeah.
I'm looking for a cure.
A cure would be awesome. So that would, or at least a treatment that doesn't leave you so vulnerable, your system.
Maybe there'll be a drug one day that will make it so you're not suppressed.
Right. That would be great. So
that'd be really nice.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about, and if you see us looking down a lot today,
we have a script.
Well, we don't, it's not really a script. It's a outline.
Outline.
But we do call it, but we actually have written on here, it's our script. So you're not wrong, Mason.
It's a script.
Yeah.
So basically we can say what we want, but we have key points that we will talk about.
Right. Because I can be forgetful and I'm
also forgetful.
I will forget to mention something that was really important to me.
Yeah.
Or I might kind of trail off and start talking about something
random things.
Yeah. So to keep us on track, we have an outline and we do this so we make sure we hit the points we want to and we don't wander too much.
Yeah.
So if you see us doing that a lot today, it's because we have a lot of little points we want to make sure.
And we don't want to lose your attention.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope we've already had it in the first 2 episodes. I can only hope this is something that's interesting to you, or somebody with an immunocompromised system that you're going, hey, I can learn something, or maybe you have a system that is suppressed right now. And it's nice to hear that you're not alone.
Yeah.
So, all right. So
we're not alone.
We have a question that we're hoping you guys can answer by the end of the podcast. So do you want to read the question, Mason?
How can 2 people have the same disease, the same treatment, but one is more immune suppressed than the other? That's the question of today.
Right. And this can happen quite often. And this leads to a lot of confusion and sometimes hurt feelings because people don't understand. So we're here today to try to answer that question. And we're going to start off by, like we always do, kind of going through not the boring. I don't want to say our show is boring.
No,
it's not boring. No, not at all.
Don't be rude about our show. You're having feelings.
Yeah. No, I'll try to be nicer. So it's the more details that we need to better help, because we could just start off and say Mason's immunocompromised.
I am immunocompromised.
And this is why we're upset about it. This is why we're happy about it. This is, all these feelings we have about it. Happiness is honestly not one of them.
I'm happy about it.
But as we always do, we try to look to the positive side of things. So, but yeah. So anyways, we're going to start off by talking about why Mason is immunocompromised. And I want to be very clear here, because if you have IBD and you're listening right now, you're probably thinking, this isn't my treatment regimen, or I'm trying to do this by watching my diet along with medical treatments. Maybe you've had surgery. Maybe you have an ostomy. There are going to be many different treatments, and that's not
differences.
So we're not here to focus on that today, because then we'll go way off the rails.
Yeah.
So we're just focusing on why Mason's immunocompromised, and it may help some of you listening to understand others. And you may recognize the 2 names. He's on 2 biologics, which that's already very rare. That's something.
2 biologics is very rare for a kid.
Very unusual. So that's already something we start off with where a lot of people don't understand right away. But the 2 that he's on
I would say Stelara, also known as ustekinumab, and Entyvio, also known as vedolizumab.
Very good, Mason.
Thank you.
Great job. Some places use the the brand name terms and some
Yeah.
use the actual
Scientific name. Yeah.
Whatever.
scientific name.
Yeah. Whatever those might be. So, and so
Gross.
you might recognize from the commercials,
Solera.
from both of them,
Yeah.
where, they always say that they can affect your immune system. They can lower your ability to fight infections and may increase risk of serious infection. And, you can brush those off when you're watching those commercials, and, like we do with all of them, we're like, wow, that's terrifying.
That's terrifying. We're not going to pay attention to that.
No, and I remember
You don't wanna hear that.
Mason being in his hospital bed, and the TV's on, and there's a commercial for one of the biologics at the time, that they were proposing, and all the side effects are laid out. And Mason,
I hope I'm not on that.
What? How is this? This is supposed to help?
Yeah.
And so that's always fun too. But that's another conversation in itself. Again, we're here to focus on the aspect of why does this suppress the immune system?
Yeah.
And that has to do with how they work. And Stelara and Entyvio, one is a systemic. So Stelara affects the entire
Body.
system.
Mouth to the other.
Right. Well,
side.
actually from the top of your head all the way to your feet.
Yeah, including your eyes.
So Stelara is a
And not your
systemic
eyes, yeah.
suppressant. So it overall, because of the way it fights the disease. And Entyvio is more gut specific. So that means that it just is more
It only
suppressive on the
helps
gut.
The gut mostly. Yeah.
Mhm.
It only helps the gut.
And usually people are on one of these.
Yes.
It's hard
Just
enough to
one.
get approved. You can ask anyone, how hard they had to fight to get one biologic, and to maybe have it go from 8 weeks to 4 weeks, or, there's a bunch of different topics on this. And that comes down to FDA approval. And what it is both of these with these, and there's many other biologics as well. And these two are both FDA approved for over 18 years of age.
And I'm 14.
Not Mason's age.
So.
And they also are approved at 8 weeks. Mason is at 4-week treatments for each of them. So what happens is you're going to get an automatic denial when you try to get these, because it's not FDA approved. So we had a fight to get this. And then after we did all that, you're going, oh my gosh, now what?
Yeah.
He's feeling better.
Yeah.
He's maybe able to go places now because he can leave the house for more than 15 minutes. That was a huge victory.
That was really exciting.
But then you're immunosuppressed.
So you have two problems.
Right.
Well, you just conquered a problem, and now you have another problem.
Right. And most people that are unfamiliar with this is where they might say, well, I have a friend who's taking Stelara, and they go to parties, they go to get-togethers, they're eating in restaurants. Why isn't Mason? And it's because, again, they may have totally different treatment regimens. And since Mason is on 2 biologics, both at 4 weeks, that is very different than being on one every 8 weeks, which is still a somewhat of an immunosuppressant. So even at that, they do have to be more careful, but we have to be really careful.
Yeah.
So this is why, like we say, I think in every episode, which is going to be a recurring theme, ask questions. Don't assume. Never assume that what is going on with somebody, and you really shouldn't unless you ask. Ask first, and then you can say, all right,
makes you smarter.
Right. Well, it does, and it helps us out a lot too. So there's not those misunderstandings.
It'll make the patient feel better too.
Right, because you may find out someone has a less severe form of Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, or they've had an ostomy. I mean, it leads to great conversations anyways to find out more about somebody. And you can do that with any chronic illness. I think that's just in general a way to make someone feel accepted and supported. It's very important with anything. So why is being immunocompromised so difficult? And I think, obviously, most of you listening can just kind of guess why, because, it's limiting on your life.
You can't really go places.
No, but the best way, and unfortunately, I think a lot of you listening understand, is because around March of 2020, when we had the pandemic, everybody had to go kind of into a quarantine mode and wear masks, and all of a sudden live these lives that were drastically different. And for us at the time, Mason was not diagnosed yet.
No,
so it was very difficult. It was very stressful. We could not wait, like everyone else, like, let's just get through this. And then he was diagnosed in June of 2020.
Summer.
And, your entire summer spent in the hospital. And what we discovered is that our lives would kind of remain the same from that point on, as far as being careful, quarantining, that sort of thing. And it was kind of, I think it's an isolating feeling. Everyone else moves on and they're living their lives. They're going on vacations, doing something as simple as like going to Target.
Yeah.
Going,
that's like a challenge.
Shopping, just doing normal things. Yeah. And for us, it's like we have to put thought into every single thing we do, and that's okay too. And I want to say it's not a negative thing. It's just, it is what our life is. And I think what helps us the most, and this is where you guys all come into it, is support and understanding. Because
support is very important.
It is, and multiple aspects with this for anyone. And I think that feeling of being misunderstood is hard.
It is. It's very hard.
Because you don't want your friends or family to feel hurt.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss out on big events.
No, you don't.
And
so you have to be careful.
Right. And again, Mason is on a different regimen than it's much more restrictive right now. We're hoping in the future that could change. But right now we have to deal with what we have. And that is keeping Mason as healthy as possible and mitigating risks and making sure that, if we do go out, we just take precautions and we do things the right way. And he is to also understand this, how long do you go between treatments, Mason?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So even though we told you he's on Entyvio and Stelara every 4 weeks,
there's 2 weeks in between each.
Right. So he'll do like Stelara, 2 weeks later, Entyvio, 2 weeks later, Stelara, 2 weeks later, Entyvio, and on repeat. Yeah. And so you'll see us, we're at Rady Children's Hospital every 2 weeks. And that means that there isn't much time if Mason was to get sick to recover.
Because if you get sick, you can't get your injection or infusion, which would cause more problems because you might go into a flare and that would be bad. And also getting sick might cause a flare itself.
Correct.
So it's bad. You don't have much time to recover in between those 2 weeks.
Right. So that's why, again, for us,
you have to be very careful.
It looks a little different. If somebody's on an 8-week regimen, they have 8 weeks between treatments. And that's a much bigger time frame. That's something more workable. Maybe you want to risk a little bit more. So I think the question is, we have a couple things here. What makes it difficult and how do we live and enjoy life and keep Mason social, and so those are things that we consider in everything we do. And so does his doctor.
Yeah.
Dr. B is fantastic. And she understands. Yeah. This is one of the reasons why we love her. She understands that there's the physical aspect of this disease and there's the mental health aspect of it. And so it's important to find that balance. And depending where Mason's at, the balance might be a little tipped, at times, but she is definitely willing to work with us and see Mason thrive in all aspects of his life and not hold him back. That's the goal in all of this. So we basically, why is the challenges for us is we have to plan everything out. Nothing is really spontaneous. We do, for picking up groceries, everything has to be pre-ordered. We do, which we're so thankful places do curbside pickup.
Curbside is so nice.
Oh my gosh.
Drive up and
yes.
give you all the items.
Because before that, we had to have things delivered, which was so expensive. And, you're already struggling with medical bills. You don't need delivery bills too. And so curbside is fantastic. And so we're so thankful for that. Yeah. But it just takes planning, and if you forget something like milk, you're like, oh man,
no.
So I take a lot of time to plan to make sure we don't miss things. And also not eating in restaurants. And maybe some people don't understand this, but if we're to go into a restaurant, everybody's masks are off. They're eating. It's, there's more chance there's things in the air and Mason
because
catching
no one
something.
Can have a mask on and they're constantly talking.
Right. And you may say, well, why can't Mason can go in a room though with people without masks on, but he's not taking his off. No. That's the difference.
Because I can't eat with my mask on. And that's
right. So that would be why that's a challenge. So we just, we work around that. We don't eat out at a lot of restaurants at all. Anyways, we eat home most times, but
if we do eat at a restaurant, it's takeout.
Right. And and masks are kind of like a funny subject because I feel like COVID gave them a really bad name.
Yeah.
And,
Sadly.
Some people love them, some people hate them. And I think a lot of people are tired of them. We were tired of them.
Yeah, we were.
I mean, I was like, I can't wait to stop wearing these. And here we are, 3.5 years later, we're still wearing them, but they have helped us. And it's important for people to remember too, like, side note here, if you see someone wearing a mask, the kindest thing you can do is to not say something rude or give them a look, because that's especially painful. We don't want to be
Just
wearing the masks. Say nothing. It's much easier. Walk by and say nothing, because
if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
Right. I mean, that would be great for a lot of things, huh?
Yeah.
But
But
it's like, we don't want to be wearing these. It's like, please don't look at us and assume the reason we're wearing these. The reason we're wearing the masks is because of our son. And we're going to do everything we can to protect him. Maybe it's not 100%. That's fine. I'll take whatever percentage it is that might help my son. And his dad even wears one to work
all day
because he deals with the public, and he has dealt with people being rude, making fun of him, telling him, it doesn't work, and saying he's afraid. And it puts him in a position where he has to get defensive. And he's like, I don't like to do that. It's none of their business why I'm wearing this, but he makes sure to let him know, this is for my son. He has a disease. He's immunocompromised, I don't want
He's getting hurt for helping.
Right. And so it's kind of sad. Before COVID, I feel like if you saw someone wearing a mask, you may think that, that person could have cancer. That person could be going through some kind of treatments, and you'd have compassion instead of this reaction that is so negative. So just a reminder, if you see someone wearing a mask, don't always assume that you know what it's about. And again,
don't be rude.
Just don't be rude. Yeah. Super simple.
Super simple.
Move on, move past, just like on anything. Scroll past things if you don't like to read about it. Just understand that people have their reasons, and it's, this is an important one. And I think that, you're lucky if you get to go out and not have to worry about these things. You're so fortunate. So focus on, things that are great in your life. And also I think that, there are people who've said, well, Michelle, why don't you just go in a store and then you don't have to wear a mask and you can go get stuff, and, Mason can stay home with his dad or whatever. And it's like, I could, but what if I catch something, And
I'm always with her.
Right. I'm his primary caregiver. So this is something from a caregiver perspective, that if I get sick, then
there's a good chance I'll get sick.
He will, or we have to figure out a system, because we can't let other people really into the house to take care of him as well, unless they have been, being very careful as well. So what happens is, if I get sick, not only can he possibly get sick, I may not be able to take him to his appointments. And he has a lot of appointments. And every time we get asked, do any of you have you been sick? Do any of you have a cold? And so we have to be honest, so I don't want to get anyone else sick or so it makes things complicated. So we also try to just do everything like Mason and kind of treat ourselves the same way to keep him protected.
We're in it as a team.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is our theme all the time. We're always a team. Yes. It is. Caregiving and patient teams are so important. And it's important for Mason to know too that we have his back. We're not just going to be like, well, you can just wear the mask and you can, it's like, no, we're in it.
A lot knowing other people are always there for you.
And which we're also, thank you to family and friends, which we know a lot of you are hopefully listening. But if you are, have you subscribed? Now's a perfect time to hit the like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube.
Especially if you're
But, family and friends who, when they come visit and they wear masks, or they do our porch visits, which if you know. So these are our friends. We hang out on the porch because we're outside, and they're kind enough to wear a mask or stay a safe distance away. And
which is really nice.
I think, I don't even think you probably understand how much that means to us. It's incredible. And we're very thankful for that. And the support of friends and family, don't ever underestimate that, because that is something that is so healing and makes you feel seen, makes you feel heard, and validates a lot of your feelings. So it makes me happy as a mom to see my son so loved and so respected. And
so kind.
Yeah, it really is. So thank you.
Yeah,
if you're listening, you're doing that for somebody else that you are friends with or that you care about and love. Good job. Yes. That's an incredible gift. And that's something that we wish more people could do, and not feel like people's feelings are hurt in any of this. Because I know, we have had a couple complaints from people saying, like, well, you guys went to a gala and you can't come to our house. And it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. You're seeing us doing, but Mason, when we go to these events,
to the galas take very good care of us. They put us at our own separate tables. They sanitize everything.
Like Mason is usually like, he was the MC for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation,
and they sanitized the microphone.
Yeah. They gave him, and then they gave him his own lapel mic so that nobody else touched it. And everyone is so careful, and it's like, thank you. That allows us to do these cool events. If somebody's like, we're having an event and no, we can't accommodate him, then we politely decline. Yeah. But if it's about raising awareness or helping others, that's a priority. That is important. A priority, because visiting friends and family, they can come here and visit. We can see them other ways. But these galas and reaching out to people and hearing Mason's story is so powerful. It's extremely important. So that's why you may see us doing something like that, because we're trying to raise money to help
Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
And colitis.
Yes. So that's a big deal to us. And even like Mason would do fireside chats at Prometheus Biosciences, and he kind of became their ambassador for their new biologic, and they treated him like gold. And
everyone who came to the fireside chat, there was a lot of people, and they all had them wear masks.
They did. Everybody, all the employees, the scientists, the doctors, just everybody. When Mason was speaking, you can see the video, but you can't see what the people behind it, what they're wearing. But they all wore masks, and nobody, not a single person, was like, "Why do I have to wear this?" They just did.
All kind.
And
so, if any of you are watching, thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah. And also congratulations to them, because Merck just
Merck just bought
Prometheus Biosciences out for that drug that Mason has been kind of supporting. And so hopefully big things will come from that. So we're looking forward to that.
I'm excited
as well. Yeah.
The new drug is almost here. Yeah. I don't know. It's not almost here. It's on its way.
I know. And it's not just, it's how, well, anyways. I don't want to.
What we're here for.
It's not what we're here to discuss today. We'll talk about that in another podcast. So now you're probably really excited, because
we've got you hooked.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That sounds really thrilling. And something else is that just know that if you ever feel like your feelings are hurt because somebody turns you down and is like, we can't come to your get together because, either someone just started a treatment, it could be steroids. It's things like methotrexate. There's other things besides biologics that suppress your immune system. That's why I say anybody, if somebody tells you that they can't because their system is suppressed, and when you feel those hurt feelings, just know that for them, it's 1,000 times worse.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be in that position. And it's very difficult, and just have some understanding that it's really not about you. It totally isn't. It's just about the situation people are in, and hopefully that will change, for some people. Hopefully. And otherwise we just adapt and we do what we can. But Mason even it's pretty cool because he has friends that he will do Zoom calls with, and they play games. He has a lot of friends on like Roblox and things like that. And so there's other ways to
you can talk to other people.
Yeah, there's other ways. So we do the face-to-face where we still make sure that he gets that kind of contact, and trying to go outdoors, trying to find places that you can go to, which there's a lot. We live in a great area where, and if he's feeling well, that's
one of the biggest parts.
Yeah, that's the other thing. But if he's feeling well, and that's great. But there's a lot of ways that you can turn the situation around and still live your life to the fullest and enjoy it. And, what we've learned in all of this is our situation is not going to change.
No, it's not going to change.
As
long as there isn't a cure.
Right. But we can adapt and we can still enjoy life and we can help others. And that's been our mission since he was diagnosed, and to make sure that people just don't feel alone.
No.
And if you, again, as we say all the time, please leave a comment.
Yeah, leave a comment.
Yeah, let us know about your situation, what you're going through, as much as you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have a question for us, leave a question.
Yeah.
And you can find us besides listening to us on places like Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music, and hopefully Apple soon. And I'll drop
Apple.
I'm going to put a link in this so you guys with our website show all the different podcasts, so where you can listen. And if you're watching us, because we also have the capability for you guys to watch the podcasts, and that's on YouTube.
Yeah.
At IB Determined.
Yes, IB Determined.
And we hit 20 subscribers today, guys.
Congratulations.
Shouldn't they send us a plaque, like an award for that?
I think you have to get a little more than that, just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I guess, but we're pretty proud. So thank you to our 20 subscribers.
Yes, thank you to the 20 subscribers.
You guys rock. So thank you.
Thank you so much for listening.
And don't forget
to like and subscribe
if you're on YouTube.
If you're on YouTube, yes.
And let us know if there's anything that we can answer or help with. Please feel free to leave a comment.
Yeah, please feel free to leave a comment.
Look for us on our next episode.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you will stick around, tune in, and reach out to us with your own journeys. We are excited to give you an inside view of what it takes to be a caregiver and what it's like to be a patient.
And most of all, we hope you'll maybe be able to apply something you hear on here that might help you in your own life. Sometimes life changes, and it's all about how you handle the journey.